Empire. Live audio is growing exponentially on Clubhouse.
I think it's been incredible to watch the everyday fan. And honestly, yes, I'm an executive of sports, so I'm an everyday fan as well. Like there's people that I know that are just casual fans, and I've seen them do incredible things.
That's Sean Brown, Global Head of Sports at Clubhouse, where a vertical of interactive, star-studded content is taking form. This is the Future Sport Podcast. I'm Bram Weinstein. For me, Clubhouse started as a platform with an almost cult-like following due to its access being tied to a VIP invitation. It has expanded since and opened its doors, and there you can find a wide array of live programming that can be as interactive as a host wants. So it makes sense that Clubhouse could make a dent into the sports audio space with that original plan in place: exclusive accessibility. Our guest this week is Sean Brown. He's the global head of sports at Clubhouse. We're the company that has pioneered social audio, and they've been brokering all sorts of partnerships with leagues and platforms to bring new modern content in the sports space. Hey, Sean, how are you?
Great, Bram. How you doing?
Hey, let me start with just a broad question with you, and that is just how fans engage with teams and leagues these days. How do you kind of view that in this new modern era?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing is meeting fans and creators where they are, right? So leagues and teams are going to seek those platforms out. A lot of what we've done with the leagues, we've been fortunate to have the NBA, the NFL, NFLPA, NHL on the platform, several times. And it's about really just meeting fans where they are and where communities are. And that's, I think, what we've done really well. Clubhouse for live social audio is galvanizing those audiences and meeting those folks where they are. Like, for instance, with the NHL, we had Stanley Cup Media Day actually hosted right before the Stanley Cup on the platform. So there was ability for the players to funnel through for their media circuit, and then actual fans within the audience being able to come up and ask really thoughtful questions, for the biggest, game of these players' lives. So I think that's a part of it for sure.
Can you talk about Clubhouse in terms of at least its initial practice of exclusivity of how to enter all of the rooms and be part of Clubhouse, and how you kind of see that moving forward when we're talking about large audiences that would be interested in the type of content that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think the exclusivity factor initially for Clubhouse was just us, thoughtfully building the product out and making sure it just didn't break, because there was obviously a huge influx of people last year coming into the platform. So that's where that invite system came through. I'm not sure if that's technically what you're asking in terms of exclusivity.
Yep.
And now that we, continue to build it out, going global with Android and introducing that in fall of last year, and just, the product team being unbelievable and building out, thoughtful products for the community. That's one of those things for exclusivity where it just existed as it had to, in terms of funneling people in, correctly, so it wasn't a huge influx of people at once. And then now circling back, we have this huge global community on the platform that's able to connect, whether it's in small groups and social groups and just, have banter with each other, or, content creators who want to create their programmatic content, or more established entities that come on, like when we have a Sports Illustrated or a Spring Hill, or, a variety of athletes that we have come on and meet these creators and fans where they are. Okay,
so let's talk about the engagement. When fans or users or people who are interested in hearing from the athletes or the leagues, what are they telling you they want from Clubhouse that might be different from where they could get it anywhere else?
I think it's the authenticity of if you mean the actual athletes and talent, I think it's the authenticity in just voice component. I think when you hear somebody's voice and there's no other, I don't want to call it distraction, but there's no other, filler around it. There's something there that's very intimate about hearing from your favorite athlete or brand or, entity on the platform that comes on that you don't really get from a static photo or, written copy or anything like that. So there's a level of authenticity and also this ability of like serendipity for fans to really meet people that they wouldn't be in a room with necessarily otherwise, and be able to ask them questions or, hear from them direct. For instance, we had Dwayne Wade on previously, and he was talking about Wade Cellars' wine brand and the 10th anniversary of that vintage wine. And there was wine enthusiasts in there. There was business entrepreneurs. There was Miami Heat fans and basketball fans, all kind of in one space, celebrating Dwayne. And they were able to come up there and ask him thoughtful questions, and they were able to hear from him in a different aspect where otherwise they wouldn't necessarily be able to do that.
Okay. And then on the other side, and we could use Wade as an example, or really anyone else,
For sure.
when they go into this, obviously, Twitter's a free for all. It doesn't offer the same, obviously, exclusivity and hearing their voice like Clubhouse does. But how did you guys think through? Because I would assume that the stars and the leagues, they don't want this to become a free for all with people asking literally anything, trolling it, running things off the rails. So how did you think through control of the medium so that everybody gets the experience that they're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. When I first got on Clubhouse, I had the same thoughts. I was like, can people just ask questions and talk whenever they want? But it really is a thoughtful product that, I don't want to say it's a controlled space, but the person that creates the room, the talent or creator, whoever that is, those moderators up there really have full control over that room and who's able to come up and talk and, how the flow of conversation goes. So there really is a thoughtful, safe space, if you will. The product is created where, depending on the room, you have your speakers up top that are moderating and, having the flow of conversation. And then you have your audience members down below who are, just get to passively listen to the conversation. So I think it's about the room you create. I think for talent, when I deal with talent or brand or, our creators on the platform as well, it's about, hey, what do you want to get out of this conversation? How many people do you want on stage? What is that? You have full level of control over that space and the flow of that. So I think it's important to understand the room is what you make it. In terms of that, it's not people that can just, that's why the platform was created. It's about that level of, honest kind of human connection, but also it's not there so people can dunk on you or so people can make fun of you or, that's not what it is. And obviously we're also a reflection of the real world. So there are spaces where, hey, there's 100 people on stage that just want to banter about something. There's been very successful people, very successful ways that's been done. But, however, you have full control over that space and, the way you are moderating and running it.
You had mentioned that the NHL held media days there. So those are news making and newsworthy events. Last fall, after Antonio Brown had his incident in New York and took off his jersey, he did an interview on Clubhouse. I think it was the first one that he did to talk about what had happened at the time. So there's a news making event. Do you see that as a model that you all are pursuing to become newsmakers?
Yeah, I think that the Clubhouse has the ability to be a multitude of things, and that's what makes it special, right? It's a couple friends getting a room together and having a debate or setting up plans for vacation or whatever they want to talk about. It's creators, they're creating programmatic content. It's stars coming on. It's multi-tiered and layered. I think obviously news is a huge component of not just the world, but social media and what we represent. So when somebody wants to break news or news is being broken, a lot of times you'll go in your feed and you're in your hallway in Clubhouse and you'll see a ton of conversations about that from various different people, just your average fan, your average person who wants to talk about something all the way to stars. So Antonio, I was fortunate to have a relationship with, him and his team and reached out to them and just said, hey, I know you're going, what's going on. And I think this could be a really not just safe space for you, but a place for you to connect with people and get this off your chest about what's going on and be honest about it. And he was, and it was great. Also, it was terrific because we have a daily sports show called Tapped In Daily that two phenomenal media personalities host, Kazim and Ashley Nicole Moss, and that's where that was hosted in. So it wasn't, he was talking to two seasoned media professionals. Yeah. Kaz works with MSG in Spring Hill. Ashley works with Sports Illustrated extensively. Like, they're no strangers to talking and working through with something with talent. So I slotted him in with that, and they asked really thoughtful, fantastic questions. And I think if you go back, this goes back to the product now that we have replays, people are able to relive that moment now. Like, this was the first time Antonio talked publicly to anyone. Like, I know he had a litany of podcasts and other things that came after that, but that Clubhouse room at 9, 10 a.m. that day was the first time he spoke publicly, especially at length. So I think there's definitely power in that and newsworthy material. And I think we'll continue to see talent and creators and people come on and do that.
Okay. Hearing the voice is really powerful. Seeing them is even more powerful. How is Clubhouse viewing video into the future?
We have a fantastic product team that surveys everything that's going on. I think that our most powerful asset is that we continue to keep the main thing, and that's everyone has a voice, and voice is still the oldest and most powerful medium that there is. We have incorporated not video necessarily, but things like pinned links where you can have a URL that's pinned above the conversation and people can drive to that. So if somebody's promoting something or selling a book or wants you to go to this site or what have you, like you can do that. That's not obviously video, but that's an incorporation of small fit photo and other text components, back channel where you're able to message with people. So I think that the product team surveys it all and sees what's out there. I think our primary focus is still absolutely live social audio and connecting people that way, though.
But give me the broad vision here. As you've been working through this and you have publishers like Sports Illustrated and Front Office Sports and others that are doing shows and ones that you've mentioned, and you're working with leagues and teams, and then there are these moments that pop up like Antonio Brown is available to you to give a first interview, or you have something specific with the NHL. Could you give me just an idea of the broad vision over the next 3 to 5 years of what the sports arm of this grows into at Clubhouse?
Like I said previously, I think it's multi-tiered. I think it's about our dealings with, I look at through the prism of 4 things every single day in no particular order. It's our dealings with leagues, because obviously that's what fans follow. They follow their favorite team leagues. That's where that evangelizing of the fandom comes from. So that's first. I think second is the individual talent we deal with: Antonio Brown, Dwayne Wade, Sue Bird, Megan Rapinoe, Mike Tyson, the litany of individual athletes that we've had on. I think second is kind of media and brand. That's the Spring Hill, Sports Illustrated, Front Office Sports arm that you're seeing. And then that fourth foundational layer is really creators. When we think about NBA Fan Club on the platform with almost 100,000 people on there, every time NBA news breaks or there's playoff, it's Isaiah and Jarrett, 2 guys who just really love NBA and can really moderate the hell out of a conversation, getting 500, 600, 1,000 people in a room at once that are just NBA fans to talk about that. So I give that context to say, those 4 layers, when they intersect, that's where the magic is. And I think as long as we continue to do that, you'll get more people on the platform. You'll have even better conversations. And that's where really the scale and the magic of that will come. For instance, NBA Fan Club hosting something and an NBA player popping in, or NHL and a fan being able to ask a question, or brand integration with that. That is the magic of that, and how we can unfold that over the following weeks and months and years, obviously.
And how do you balance quality versus quantity? I mean, that clearly feels to fall into the category of modern media procurement and engagement. You can go on YouTube and watch a million NBA shows, the quality of which we'll see. Same goes with conversation in many different mediums. How does Clubhouse view quality versus building quantity of shows?
Yeah, I mean, we're not necessarily, at least me in the sports division, it's not about me building shows. It's about me bringing in and being the conduit for successful clubs and conversations necessarily. So it's not me funneling and saying, hey, we need 20 amazing shows and then whatever happens. It's saying, hey, Sports Illustrated is a preeminent brand in sports media. The NHL is a phenomenal league. Dwayne Wade has something to say. Hey, there's creators on the platform that are obviously investing their time and energy every single day, like MLB Collective going live when the lockout was happening, and investing that time to galvanize and create audience there. So it's not necessarily or me policing what the quality of that's going to be. It's about setting folks up to be successful, to make sure that, hey, when you come on there, no matter what kind of fan you are of sports, you can find something for you, whether it's the NBA, whether we worked with cricket in India. It's a global platform. So thinking about all that, and then hopefully there's some fantastic conversations and people continue to connect on there.
I hear you, but I guess my point is, and I agree with you, I didn't expect that you're going out and literally procuring shows. However, going back to the original thought of, there was an exclusivity aspect, and I appreciate how you explain that to Clubhouse. I'm certain there must be something in your mind that says, we don't want just anything on here, that there is a level that we want, there's a bar that we want to get across, right? Of the type of conversations and the type of content that will live on Clubhouse.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think quality is definitely top of mind with absolutely anything we do. But once again, we're a reflection of the real world. So I can't make sure that every club or creator that we have on there is going to be everyone has different taste levels to what they think quality is, of course,
Sure.
right? So, I mean, I can't say that, hey, every single club or, analyst or personality that we have on there is going to be to everybody's liking. But I can say, hey, these are the buckets or the silos of business that we want to hit that we think are important to create a community around sports.
Okay. All right. Let me close on this. So now that you've been doing this and you're monitoring what people are interested in and how they're interacting and how the clubs and leagues are interacting with you, what have you learned through this process of the modern interaction between fans, interested parties, leagues, and sports?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question, by the way. I think that the last year, especially for me, has been unbelievably insightful for, looking at the way fans have really connected and built their own audiences now, right? So you look at, I think people now follow talent more than they follow brands. So the individuals that we've had on there, especially for creators who have amassed huge followings on there and started as fans and really kind of morphed themselves into moderators and pundits and analysts and interviewers. Obviously there's a threshold for like what you do. Obviously there's so much time that you've invested in that. And it's not about every creator thinking they're going to be the next Bram necessarily, but there is this ability for creators especially to develop their own voice in the space, in their pocket, and have a sweet spot and be creative. And I think that's what Clubhouse has really been able to unlock in a real way. And like, that's where leagues and teams and brands really funnel to, is when they see, hey, this club has created 100,000 plus millions of, community members in one club, and they're just celebrating this sport and talking about their favorite athletes. Like, that's where we need to be. It's not a top-down approach anymore where it's leagues and brands, not necessarily, I want to say, talking down to creators and fans, but it's creators and fans really creating the narrative and the conversation, and them hopefully meeting in the middle and, having a meaningful dialogue, whether that looks like a media day or something fun, or, an honest conversation with a talent or Antonio Brown moment or anything like that. But I think it's been incredible to watch the everyday fan. And honestly, yes, I'm an executive of sports, but I'm an everyday fan as well. Like there's people that I know that are just casual fans, and I've seen them do incredible things on the platform. So I think just harnessing the power of the everyday creator and them finding, literally and figuratively their voice on the platform has been incredible. Because I know what I'm going to get out of when I work with Spring Hill Company, I know I'm going to get fantastic talent. I know they're going to be talking about cultural conversations in sports and entrepreneurship, and they're going to be seasoned, right? Like that's what you're getting out of that. Or a league, like, they're going to be talking about the big game or, the championship, or, evangelizing the players, and the professionals are there, but the creators have been fantastic to see them create.
It is amazing. It does feel a little full circle. Like, years and years ago with traditional media, it was that was disseminating the information about the teams. As things consolidated and with more options, the teams started to take more control of their own messaging and created their own products. Not that they were bad, but they were doing it. And now it feels like it's come full circle again, where it is about the person who is giving the message. It's amazing, really.
Absolutely. No, it's definitely that full circle moment that I've been so impressed with. And, I think we've been able to hopefully unlock and will continue to unlock.
Well, I'm a user, and it's really cool, and it was great to talk to you. Sean Brown is the global head of sports at Clubhouse. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, Bram. Really appreciate you.
On the next Future Sport podcast, athletes are leveraging their brands more and more.
It was that story that first broke May of 2019, and I just kind of went into a hole in my apartment in New York I was like, okay, this problem isn't new. Like, why aren't any of the solutions working? From just the pro athletes that I had talked to and YouTubers that had podcasts and video channels and kind of building a business around your content.
That's Tiffany Kelly, who has built Curastory, a company aiming to help athletes of all levels curate their online brands to maximize their growth and earnings. That will do it for this episode. As always, the future is now. This is the Future Sport Podcast. I'm Bram Weinstein.